Hey, welcome back everybody. So back on this engine here, I know I made two shorts on this engine. So briefly, basically the customer gave up on this car. I got the car over there. The thing about it is that, well, he's put on so much money already, and he's put on with bad customer service from the company that sold him the bad engine, and put up with the bad mechanic that didn't do anything. Didn't really inspect this engine, to say it's a dead engine. So honestly, I'm gonna do what the other guy should have done. And I also should have done this before doing the cylinder leak down test that I did, resulting in those cylinders 2, 4, and 5 being bad cylinders, which I mentioned on that short. So on this engine, what we're gonna do today. Whoa, I'm dropping things here. Okay. What I'm going to be doing with you guys is opening up these covers. This cover right here and that other cover over there. So these covers are the covers that you should open up to check your timing chain in this engine before saying it's a bad engine and saying to the customer, let's go to get a new one. The thing is, I already know this engine is bad because of the results of the cylinder leak down that I did. But I still want to show you guys. I'm going to open this up right here. I already took out the little bolts that hold it in place. Those are 10mm bolts. I got them right here. So this cover right here, this triangular cover, has a lip on this corner. You can pry on it. And honestly, I'm going to say this right here. If, for example, if the other guy had opened this up and opened this up, I shouldn't be having to pry on it. It would come off easy because the RTV that's sealing these gaps all around, the RTV is no longer working because it's been separated. But I have to actually pry on it hard for it to come off, indicating that this cover has never been taken off. There we go. It just flew out. I was prying on it pretty good. Now this engine has what could be engine sludge. Yeah. Let me see here. Hopefully you can see it. I'm down here. So it's got a slack. It's got a bit of slack, which there shouldn't be any slack on this. I do know this is oil pressure operating tensioner, but still, since this hasn't been removed, this should still be holding tight, but I can move it. Now that bolt is full of sludge. Yeah. And then upper bolt also has a bit of sludge on it. Yep. I'm just wiping it off here on the wooden block. That's not good enough. There we go. Okay. Now let's open up the other one. This is the one where the water pump goes. And just so you know, when you're doing a water pump replacement on the VQ35DE, which is the Nissan 350Z engine the one on the Nissan Altima, Maxima, Infiniti i35. If you are doing the water pump, you need to drain the oil after doing the water pump. People, you should know that. Don't slack off on that, because this engine requires you to drain the engine oil afterwards. If you don't do it, you're looking at blowing the engine up, because there's going to be coolant in the oil. Man, let me get this this thing out of the way. Let's see if I can. Ow, that was my knuckle. I know there's a lip right here. Should just get a bigger one, bigger flathead screwdriver. There's no lip here or here. Should have been one here, but there isn't one here. Yeah, no. The only prying spot be right here, but not good. That basically says this little cover has never been taken off. Make it a there we go. And again, let's check for slack. Just about the same amount of slack as on the other side. Yeah. Okay, I just, I see things in this color, and automatically it tells me it hasn't been very well maintained. Sadly, that's one of the problems with this engine. It hasn't been well maintained, so yeah, that's how things are. That's what happens with these Infinitis and Nissans. They just get beaten up and not very well maintained. There's a spot here of oil that looks like it's been right up there. You can see my flathead screwdriver there, and this is sludge. Sludge. And I know this engine has been open like this for a few days now, but even if, let's be real, even if this engine was staying open for so long, there shouldn't be any engine sludge. Yeah. There shouldn't be any engine sludge at all. Oh yeah, this is gooey in this one. Very gooey. Oh my god. Look at this. Wow. My goodness. Wow. I wonder if all of them are like that. Let me try out this one on the back. Oh yeah. They all have the same problem. Oh yeah. Oh man. That really sucks. Yep, that's sad. That's truly, truly very sad. This is a nice engine. I mean, a very well-known engine, and it's just sad that people do this to their cars. This is a result of not changing your oil, people. I'm pretty sure that engine, that timing on this engine jumped because there's no oil. If there's no oil, there's no oil pressure. And just so you know, engine sludge is basically oil that's just dried up. There's no lubrication in that oil anymore. So it's just dried up and it turns into tar. Or in other words, sludge. And when that happens, there isn't enough oil in the oil pan to get picked up by the oil pump to pump it up through where it needs to go, including the oil, including the timing tensioner, which is oil pressure fed. So if there's no oil pressure or not enough oil pressure, the tensioner will slack off, will not be tightened like it should be, and then timing will just jump because of the tensioner not being tight. I know it's a lot of words into that, but that's basically what happened here. So this jumped timing because of the engine not being well maintained. Pretty much that's what happened. That's why you see this dark and not golden. This is like a dark brown. This is brown. That's rust right here. So this is because of not being maintained. So yeah, sadly that's what it is on this one. The other engine, I don't know why it's got a squeal. When you would turn the crankshaft, it was squealing somewhere in between inside the engine towards the back. And it just didn't make any sense why it was squealing that way. The only thing I would imagine, because I remember that the customer told me that the engine that he bought was given to him without a water pump. Without a water pump. Ladies and gentlemen, the water pump's right here. Water pump's right here. The water pump runs with the timing chain. So if it runs with the timing chain, when you take this thing off and you leave it off, it will come out of time if you rotate this thing for whatever reason. The customer told me that the other mechanic put in the brand new water pump, which is somewhere around here. I know I have it. I know I have it here somewhere. There it is. That's the new water pump that the customer bought for the other engine. So he put that other water pump into the other engine. But we don't know if that crankshaft had been turned before putting the water pump. So if it had been turned for whatever reason, that engine got out of time. Because that chain doesn't have any slack. So it'll jump timing by 1 tooth, maybe 2, maybe 3. You know, some things are just not done right at all. Like that, for example. Now, he said that the water pump had been installed after receiving the engine at their place. So, at that moment, I'm thinking, wait a second. Was the oil drained? Was it drained? I don't know. But I do know that when the customer had the engine put on, the other mechanic put oil, new oil, into this engine. And when I drained it, because obviously I was taking the engine out, when I drained it, it drained with coolant. So that tells me that when this water pump on the other engine was taken off before given to the customer, those people at that company never drained it. Never thought that they had to drain the coolant that came out of this area right here. I know this is a poor design from Nissan. They should have had a water pump outside the timing case or the timing cover, but no, they decided to put it inside. And I'm guessing the reason why they did that is because they wanted to have the engine inside a front-wheel drive vehicle. If it had a water pump outside, it most likely will not fit. Because honestly, the space, you cannot take the engine out. For example, this car on the Infiniti i35, you cannot take the engine out with leaving the transmission in place. You either have to drop the transmission or take the engine with the transmission out at the same time. But you cannot leave the transmission in place to take this engine out. You need to move it either out or with the engine. Now, all of that being said, having coolant inside the oil pan, it could make some of the parts down there rust up because the engine's not being used, and coolant causes rust. So, that being said, why, if you're a company that sells engines, used engines, why would you sell an engine without this on it and without draining the whatever's left of coolant inside the oil pan? That makes no sense, people. So I think a lot of people slacked off, both from the company that sold the other engine and the mechanic that put the other engine inside the car. That's just, so I would think the squealing part of the other engine was probably rust in the bearings. I would say rust inside the block. That's what I would say. Because I can't even think of anything else that will cause a squeal when you turn the crank. I don't know. Sadly, I don't have any recordings for me to show you. I don't think so. If I do, I will find it. No belts. No belts at all. But when you turn over the engine with your ratchet, you hear that? That makes no sense, ladies and gentlemen. That makes no sense.